So you've come across a cool landscape plant, you've taken some pictures of it, and you want to identify it so you can plant it in your yard too. Not all plant identification is the same if you think about it, depending on what you're trying to ID. So if you're on a hike, you find a native wildflower, you can use a field guide to pretty easily figure out what you're looking at. When it comes to landscaping plants, however, there are so many different cultivars. These plants can come from all over the world. There are many more options, and it's a little bit more difficult to figure out exactly what you're looking at. Of course, plant identification apps are a really common recommendation, but they're great, but they also can sometimes have limitations. So it depends on what you're doing. You might want to use that method in combination with another method. So today I'm going to share 6 different creative, efficient methods for identifying landscape plants. Method number 1 is to see if you have a local Master Gardener Answer Clinic, plant helpline, or similar resource. You should be able to find these resources pretty easily with an online search, and surprisingly few people know that these resources exist. And they're such a great resource for any kind of gardening question. Just in general, plant ID is just one of the categories. They're usually free and volunteer staffed, and you can call, email, or even walk in sometimes, depending on what your local program offers. Of course, read any rules or instructions before you reach out to them. They tend to have a lot of information on their website about what you need to do to reach out. When you do reach out, especially in the case of plant identification, send as many pictures, close up, wide angle, a couple different perspectives of what, the branch structure might look like, what the leaves look like. Always provide as much information as you have. It'll just make the process that much more efficient. Method number 2 is to post a picture of your plant in a regionally specific plant identification Facebook group, Reddit community, or similar online resource. Always start with plant ID specific groups, and from there you can move on to landscaping or gardening related groups. Local is always a little bit better when you have that available. However, if you do want a response quickly, you may want to prioritize a larger group that has a little bit more activity so you can, get help from someone a little bit sooner. Always read and follow any group rules or community rules before posting, and reread them if it's been a little while since you've interacted with the group or may have missed any updates. People love to answer these plant ID questions in these groups, in my experience, and sometimes someone will get it wrong and someone else will come along and correct them, so there's a little bit, it's a little bit of a self-correcting system in that way. Method number 3 is almost too simple, but I'm mentioning it here just in case you didn't think about it. Don't feel shy about texting a picture of the plant to your gardening friend. I've noticed in general, plant people tend to like talking about plants. If nothing else, they like to show off their plant knowledge. And if they don't know the plant, they may want to find out because they're curious at that point, or they might send you to some cool local resource you didn't know about before. Method number 4 is to ask an employee at a plant nursery. I mean, this can save you a step anyway, right? You're looking to identify this cool plant so you can plant it in your yard. You can find out if they have it in stock, and maybe the employee might be able to recommend something similar or even better if they don't have it. Also, someone who works at a nursery is more likely to have an understanding of what the different cultivars are available for different species of plants. Someone who's more of a hobby gardener might not know the new plants that are out there, or maybe be able to tell the difference between some of the less flashy cultivars of plants. Specialty plant nursery employees can be really helpful if you're trying to identify a plant within a specific category. So let's take miniature conifers, for example. You're better off identifying one of those, asking someone who specializes in miniature conifers. They're going to know what they're talking about. Let's transition into some tech tips now, but first I have some advice. Always double check whatever identification you receive. Double check it with your own research. Sometimes people are just plain wrong. Sometimes people are familiar with a plant, maybe even grow it in their own yard, but they've been calling it the wrong name for years, the whole time they've been growing it. And when you post online, for instance, you're probably going to receive multiple totally different responses. In these discussions, the correct plant ID will tend to appear the most, but not always. And remember that scientific names, as overwhelming and difficult to pronounce as they're the best way to identify a plant, to make sure that you are talking about the same plant that someone else is talking about. Let's talk about the scientific names, what makes up a scientific name. You first have the genus, then you have the species, and then usually someone will share either a cultivar name in these little quotations, or they'll have a variety name, which will include VAR, period, as an abbreviation for the word variety, and then the name of that specific variety. The genus is like a category. It's a group of related plants. Then you get a little bit more specific as you move into the species. This is a type of plant. A genus and a species makes a plant. And from there you can have the variations, you can have a variety, you can have a cultivar. And then the definition of the term variety is, it's implied in the name, it's a variation of a species of plant. Then you have a cultivar, which is a cultivated variety. So cultivar is a name given to a plant that has been bred to have certain characteristics. Remember that the common name is just a name that someone started calling a plant that. There are a lot of common names out there, and we tend to rely on these because they're a little bit easier to digest, but people can just make up a common name. These are, there can be multiple common names for a plant. They can vary regionally, but every plant is going to have a genus and a species. There are also plant patents, there are, trademark plant names, there's all kinds of marketing associated with plants, which can make this a little bit confusing, but remember, you've got the genus, the species, you've identified a plant, and then sometimes you can get more specific than that with a cultivar or a variety. Not all plants will have a variety or a cultivar name. So essentially the minimum that you need for a plant identification is just that genus and species, then a variety or cultivar name from there is a bonus, basically. Sometimes it's easy to identify like a cultivar, but other times it can be almost impossible. It depends on how widespread a certain cultivar, how commonly available it is, how distinctive it is from other cultivars. Sometimes it's hard to tell. And this is why it's helpful to reach out to sources that have more experience with landscaping plants. When you're trying to figure out exactly what plant someone else has and you want to plant that in your yard too, you want to buy that same plant, you want to find someone who has experience with specific cultivars to kind of help out whenever possible. There can be a really big difference between one cultivar and another cultivar when it comes to, just characteristics like the size of the bloom, the color of the leaf, the shape of the leaf, but then the size of the plant as well, where it likes to grow. So identifying this when possible is always ideal. Sometimes when you post a picture of a plant on, a group online and someone provides you with an identification, or sometimes you'll snap a picture with a plant app, you'll get back just a genus or maybe a guess at the species, and it'll be up to you to do a little searching online. If you search for the genus, a bunch of species will usually come up in the search. Look at the images that come up in your favorite search engine, compare some of the details too. Look at the margins of the leaves, look at the color really closely. If anything doesn't look like an exact match, keep looking. I hope that was helpful for you. Let's get back to these tips. Method number 5, as mentioned at the beginning of this video, plant identification apps can be a great place to start. And I remember when these first came out or started to become popular a bajillion years ago, being super disappointed with how bad they were at identifying plants, but a lot has changed. It's honestly, they're really surprisingly accurate, even with some specific, very specific species of plants that can be hard to tell apart. And if you do get an inaccurate result, you can then take whatever the app gives you, do a little bit of extra research, and then return back to the app to tell it what it actually was. This just helps make these apps better over time. Try searching for your plant multiple times, take pictures from multiple angles, and even try using multiple apps. Compare the results and always double check the result by searching for the scientific name online. I'll create a comment thread below this video, I'll pin it to the top, and I'll share a couple of plant identification apps I've, used or learned about. I'm not affiliated with them in any way at the point or at the time of making this video, but I would love to hear what plant ID apps you use and love. Please reply to that comment and let me know. Method number 6 it's kind of another unique way of approaching this. It's not too different from using a plant ID app, but do a reverse image search using your favorite search engine with the pictures of the plant you've taken. Basically, every search engine will have some sort of search by image feature, so you might have to do a little bit of research to figure out how to best use this tool. But essentially, you upload the picture that you have, and it will spit out anything on the internet that looks similar to this particular picture. And sometimes you can zoom in on a particular leaf or a particular section of the picture and you'll get totally different results. Again, this is not always perfect, but surprisingly good. And this can be helpful when you're identifying a cultivar that might have a very distinctive look. It's just more likely to bring up some of these cultivars than maybe some of these other sources. Expect to have to do a little bit more searching online, but it's a really great place to start. If you are looking to identify a plant for the purposes of planting something new in your yard, I created a free mini course called How to Choose the Perfect Plant to help you with plant research and make sure that you're putting the right plant in the right place. Again, it's free to sign up. You just create a login, username, password so that you can keep track of your progress as you move through the course. And I have resources like a perfect plant checklist where you can just follow the checklist to make sure you're not missing anything important as you're doing plant research, because plant research can be a little bit overwhelming, but if you do it, you have a better chance of succeeding from the beginning. I will link to that in the description below this video if you're interested, if that can be helpful for you. And welcome, by the way. My name is Eve Hanlon. I'm a landscape designer from the Pacific Northwest corner of the USA, and this is Garden Project Academy, where I offer online courses and resources like this to help you with your next garden project. Comment below if you have any questions or ideas for upcoming videos. Good luck with your plant identification, and also in the comments, let me know if you have any other favorite methods for identifying plants. There are so many different ways out there. These are just some of my favorites for this particular situation, right? You're in a hurry and you want to identify a landscaping plant, maybe even a cultivar of some sort. Let me know in the comments below what you use to identify plants. It also might help out someone else who's reading through the comments. Thank you so much and happy gardening.